At 68, Helen Rodriguez had worked as a software engineer for 43 years before retiring. She'd helped design some of the early computer systems that banks still use today. But to her daughter-in-law Ashley, she was just another confused old lady who didn't understand modern technology. "Oh, Helen," Ashley would laugh whenever Helen pulled out her iPhone. "Old people don't need smartphones. You should get one of those simple phones with the big buttons. This is all too complicated for someone your age." Helen's son, Michael, would just smile awkwardly and change the subject. He loved his wife, and somehow Ashley had convinced him that her condescending comments were just caring concern for his aging mother. What Ashley didn't know was that Helen's confusion was an act, and what she definitely didn't know was that Helen had been recording every single interaction for the past 8 months. Helen had grown suspicious when Ashley started insisting on helping with her finances. During family dinners, Ashley would make comments about how Helen's house was too big for one person and how she really shouldn't be handling money at her age. The final straw came when Helen discovered that Ashley had been intercepting her mail and had somehow gained access to her bank statements. When Helen confronted her about it, Ashley had laughed that same dismissive laugh. "Helen, you're getting paranoid. That's what happens when people get old. They start imagining things. Maybe we should look into some nice assisted living facilities for you." That night, Helen had downloaded a sophisticated recording app that automatically backed up everything to a secure cloud server. She'd also installed hidden cameras in her own home, something her software background made easy to do. What she discovered over the next few months made her blood run cold. Ashley wasn't just condescending, she was calculating. The recordings revealed a systematic plan to have Helen declared mentally incompetent so Ashley and Michael could gain control of her considerable assets. Helen had captured Ashley on video going through her personal files. She had audio of Ashley telling her friends how she was playing the long game with the senile old bat. Most damning of all, she had recorded Ashley's phone calls with a lawyer discussing how to expedite guardianship proceedings. "The old woman has dementia." Ashley's voice was crystal clear on the recording. "She can't even figure out how to use a phone properly. We need to move fast before she does something stupid with all that money." Helen sat in her kitchen, listening to the recordings with tears streaming down her face. Not from sadness, but from rage. Ashley wasn't just stealing her dignity. She was planning to steal her entire life. But Helen had one advantage Ashley didn't know about: her old colleagues. 3 of her former co-workers were now federal investigators specializing in elder fraud, and Helen had already sent them everything. The plan was elegant in its simplicity. Helen would host one final family dinner and let Ashley dig her own grave, literally on record, in front of witnesses. She invited not just Michael and Ashley, but also her brother Robert, a retired judge, her neighbor Mrs. Chen, a former prosecutor, and Ashley's own parents, who had been concerned about their daughter's recent behavior but had no proof of wrongdoing. Helen prepared Ashley's favorite meal and set the table with her finest china. She made sure every recording device was fully charged and running. "This is so nice, Helen," Ashley said as everyone gathered around the table. "Though I have to say, hosting dinner at your age. Are you sure you shouldn't be taking things easier?" Helen smiled sweetly. "Oh, I have plenty of energy left, dear." Halfway through dinner, Helen excused herself to get dessert. While in the kitchen, she received a text from her federal investigator friend. "We're in position outside. Ready when you are." Helen returned to the dining room carrying a tablet instead of dessert. "I thought we might look at some photos," she said innocently, setting the tablet on the table where everyone could see the screen. "Oh, Helen," Ashley laughed. "You know you don't understand how those things work. Here, let me—" "Actually," Helen interrupted, her voice suddenly strong and clear, "I understand technology better than you think." She pressed play on the tablet. Ashley's voice filled the room. "The old woman has dementia. She can't even figure out how to use a phone properly. We need to move fast before she does something stupid with all that money." Ashley's face went white. Michael dropped his fork. Ashley's parents stared at their daughter in horror. But Helen wasn't finished. "That was recorded 3 weeks ago," Helen said calmly. "But there's so much more." She played clip after clip, Ashley discussing how to forge Helen's signature. Ashley telling friends how she was managing the senile old bat. Ashley laughing about how easy it was to fool Michael into thinking her behavior was normal. The final recording was the most devastating. Ashley on the phone with someone named Derek, talking about how once Helen was in a care facility they could liquidate everything and split the profits. "Who's Derek?" Michael asked, his voice barely a whisper. Ashley couldn't speak. Her parents were openly weeping. Helen stood up and walked to her front door. When she opened it, 3 federal agents walked in, led by her old colleague, Detective Sarah Martinez. "Ashley Morgan," Detective Martinez announced, "you're under arrest for elder fraud, identity theft, and conspiracy to commit financial abuse." As the handcuffs clicked around Ashley's wrists, she finally found her voice. "You can't do this. She's just a confused old woman. She doesn't even know how to use that phone." Helen held up her smartphone, the same phone Ashley had mocked countless times. 43 years in software engineering, dear. I helped design the security systems that banks use today. I think I can manage to work a recording app." The room fell silent, except for Ashley's sobs and the shuffling of feet as the agents led her away. 6 months later, Ashley was sentenced to 8 years in federal prison. The investigation revealed she had been running similar scams on 3 other elderly people in different states. The Derek from the recordings turned out to be her ex-boyfriend, who was also arrested. Michael, devastated but grateful his mother had protected herself, moved back home temporarily to rebuild their relationship. He spent months apologizing and trying to understand how he had been so blind to his wife's true nature. "Mom," he said one evening as they sat in Helen's garden, "I'm so sorry I didn't listen to you. I should have known better." Helen patted his hand while scrolling through emails on her smartphone. "Sometimes people hear what they want to hear, mijo. But the important thing is that you're listening now." Her phone buzzed with a notification. The local senior center wanted her to teach a workshop on digital safety for older adults. The title, "Why Old People Need Smartphones, A Guide to Self-Protection in the Digital Age." Helen smiled as she typed her acceptance. At 68, she was just getting started. She opened her recording app one last time and left a message for herself. Note to self: never underestimate the power of an old woman with a smartphone, and never let anyone convince you that age equals ignorance. As the sun set over her garden, Helen reflected on Ashley's words from that first dinner. Old people don't need smartphones. Helen chuckled and held up her phone to take a photo of the sunset. "Oh, Ashley," she said to the empty air, "you have no idea what old people can do."